Every day, you essentially pay your dues by doing the harder thing when it's the right thing to do.
Obviously, we're all really driven, motivated people, and we have big opinions because you don't work as many hours at a high level as we do. If you're just like, oh, I'm going to go with the flow today, like that's not it. So it's definitely being able to have the tough conversations or ask like I'm struggling. Like, what do you see?
Sure.
What am I missing? And being able to do that, Brett and I, obviously we carpool, so we get a lot of time to do that. But even with Kale, he'll be like, what do you see with this? Or like he walked over the other day and he saw something and I was like, oh, like, why did I not see that, and made a quick change. And now the kids' routine is so much better. So just being able to listen to everybody and trust their expertise and know that everything's coming from the right spot. We all have the same end goal. Nobody's trying to be the best or bring me down or whatever. We're all just trying to do what's best for the kids. And so you have to just, in that moment, put yourself aside and be like, what's best for the kid? Listen to the team. That includes at our location, that includes Lauren and Chris as well. And just really be collaborative and really just put yourself aside. What's best for the kid? And Brent, we were part of developmental camp under Valeri, and Valeri kind of in those camps started this whole less is more, quality over quantity, and also the collaboration. What I think the best thing that came out of developmental camp is the group of people that you can go to with questions and concerns and stuff. And so we all kind of grew up to the higher levels in that system where you weren't the be all end all. You asked for help. You did whatever. And so I think that makes us more open to doing that, right? Like it's not our way or the highway. It's, oh, today we're going to learn about this and today we're going to learn about that. And so I think that was a huge, huge benefit that maybe a lot of people don't realize was one of the best things to come out of that, honestly, is this whole generation of super collaborative coaches willing to learn and excited to learn. So I think for like me, Kale, Lauren, Brett, we came through that. And so that's just kind of our mindset. Like today we're going to learn something new. Today we're going to like, okay, there's a better way to do it. Valeri would always say, I made these mistakes so you don't have to like don't do what I did because that wasn't necessarily it. And so we all have that mindset. And then within our own program, our lower level staff is so willing to learn and so excited to learn and so appreciative every day. Like I feel very, very fortunate that they've bought in so hard to this is what we're going to do now. And this is how we're going to do it. So I haven't had to face too much of that, but I would say if you're facing it, lead by example. Lead by example, because the kids that work with you are going to be happier and they're going to be healthier and they're going to work harder for you and they're going to love coming into the gym. You're going to get those hand-drawn cards every day, and they're going to look, those other coaches are going to look over and be like, well, what's happening over there? And then you can revisit that conversation, right? Kids that are happy and excited to come to gym are going to thrive way more than these kids that are scared and burnt out and probably overtrained and hurt.
Yeah.
I definitely think that having some mandatory education on like we do safe sport, but it's not super involved. There's no question answer. You don't really get feedback, right? I think getting feedback is super key. I think we need to have something from one, it weeds out some people, right? If you've got to do that extra step and put in the time and learn things, then you're more likely to be doing things for the right reasons. So I think one, it's like a good barrier, a good next step. Two, there's just, I feel really strongly in my ability to teach a flick lay on the beam. Am I a sports psychologist? No, I'm getting better. I need to have education on that, or education on where to send my athletes when they're struggling with something like this. I think we try as gymnastics coaches to be a master of all, and we're not. I mean, some people are far better than others, but I think having more education, one, points out what we don't know, right? Oh my gosh, I don't know anything about that. And will help us to send our athletes to get better care in those things, strength and conditioning, nutrition, sports psychology, all of those things. It's a safety buffer. What would that look like? That's a really big question, right? Canada's such a small population. And I was listening to Cecile's podcast and theirs is even more in depth, but France is such a small population.
Right.
I think thanks again to COVID, we're all more proficient on Zoom. So you could definitely do online classes to make it more feasible. But I think there should be some technical, some practical some theory for sure. I don't know. I felt like Canada's model was really good.
Yeah.
It was really good. We had hands-on spotting. You had to pass. You had to take your theory test. You had to be supervised. You had to do hours in the gym. You had to, what did they call them? Practice teach or something. You had to like, this is how I'm going to teach a straddle back, right? And you had to, this is step one. My kid walks in the gym on day one, and then this is how we're going to get there. And it just showed that you had a real understanding of fundamentals and progressions and safety. And I thought it was great.
I think sometimes the rec level, the pre-comp level gets thrown under the bus a little bit, like the side, like the excels and stuff like that. I think they get kind of thrown off the island because they're not the high level stuff. But where do you think a kid learns a handstand? Where do you think a kid learns a round off? And you just said it so well, is like your staff at Ascend gets equal as much attention as the level 10s and elites. And so that's something I really wish I would see better, is better education for those lower levels who are usually like part-time people. They're kids. They're just coming out of school. They're really having a tough time. And I think sometimes we throw them unfortunately under the bus a little bit.
They're the most important people in the program, and that's where we're working on it right now. That's actually like something we're tackling right this second, because like you said, they're kids and they're young and they know, but they're not confident and they're not willing to like get in there. But they teach that very first cartwheel. They teach that very first round off. They teach standards and expectations. Like that's the kid's first taste, right? So if you just let them willy-nilly do it, I have a very talented little girl, and I saw a video on her mom's Facebook the other day of her round off back handspring, and she fully hurdles with one arm up and one arm down, and this very talented little girl still hurdles like that right now. And like we talk about it every day, every turn, but when she was 5, she did 7 million round offs with like crazy hurdles. And now that's sort of what we got, right? So if we get those pre-team coaches and those rec coaches to believe like you are the most important person in this gym, and by you doing a fabulous job, like you make my job so much easier, and you are vital. So getting them to understand that and buy in and be excited. With the higher level coaches, again, it's easier, right? We're older, we've got more experience. I feel very confident to go up and talk to someone and say, you know, this is why, this is what, this is whatever, whether it be to an athlete or another coach. With our younger coaches, again, they don't have that confidence. And if they see me walking over, they're probably like, oh, darn. Right? So there's literally a saying in the gym, and it's, what would Coach Sarah like? And literally all I like right now is straight legs and pointed toes. So, but like when I walk by, they say like WWCSL, and I'm like, oh man. So, but yeah, I agree, like teaching them. But I think, again, COVID year's been so weird. So we're trying to make this big change coming off the heels of COVID, and we haven't had a lot of time in the gym with our people, but our plan is to have a meeting with them and just kind of say that, like, if you don't know, ask. If you're unsure, ask. Like, there's no bad questions. And the only way to get better is to ask and use the resources around you. And you guys have a lot of resources. So let's get on that. So that's our next plan. We were literally in the car talking about it, is we're going to have a meeting with our developmental staff and our preteen staff and kind of go through that and hope that they can feel like they can, you know, ask and get the questions they need and the answers they need. Staff all the time. You have to reward all those little things. And that's going to make the kids excited, A, to do all those little things, and B, to be excited to be in the gym, because those huge wins are far and few between, right? Especially the older you get as a gymnast, you've got your skill set, you're set. There's not a lot of like big eureka moments anymore. You know, so for this little girl who landed her Souk, like that was such an amazing moment. And someone in her past had told her that she was never going to flip a vault in her life and all of this. And great positivity. And so, you know, she just comes to gym every day and works her butt off with the biggest grin. And we went to this meet, and she hadn't flipped it yet this year, and she just rocked it. And it was like, that is why you coach gymnastics. Like, that kid left on cloud 9. She felt like $1 million. You know, she was like, oh, I accomplished this thing. And that is why you coach gymnastics, because you want kids to find that feeling. And so we help them find that feeling by rewarding all those little things in between. Some nonsense thing. This is Brett's thing. It's state meet in a week. And so he bought 1,052 mints. And every time a kid does something even remotely okay, you throw them a mint. You say, oh, that was mint condition. Oh, that was an improved mint. That was an accomplished mint. And so now these kids are like jumping to the moon to try and get mints. We have this one little girl, and she was like, I'm going to get a mint on all 4 events. And she like lit it up yesterday. Her legs were straight. Like, it was so good. You know, so just silly stuff like that to break up the monotony and have some fun with them. In the summer, we do the Summer Olympics, and we divide them into nonsense countries, and they get points for hard effort, or maybe you moved the mat, or you cleaned up a piece of trash and we saw it, or whatever, just to, you know, make them have some pride and work as a team. So yeah. And the other thing we've been doing a lot is really enforcing the team this year, reinforcing that we're a team and we're doing this for the team and you work hard for your team. And that's been bringing a lot of success and a lot of fun and a lot of camaraderie with the girls. I've definitely grown a little bit in this, but the first step is communication. You need to be communicating with that kid and she needs to know to be communicating with you. And if there's any, I think I got this from you every day we go in, how's your body today? How are you feeling? Right? If I have a little hip today, then we're not going to kick and we're not going to leap today. And that's okay because you're 10 and you have 700 years left to leap, right? But if I do a hamstring or I do a something now, that's going to shorten our window. So communication is number one. Number two, I don't do a lot of numbers. I really people are probably like, Sarah, like, let's go, you got to do more, but I don't. So I'm just going to say beam because we're going to talk about beam, but flick legs, right? You can only do so many. That's a huge arch. Young kids aren't necessarily confident, so they're not jumping as much so that they can engage their core. They're relying on their flexibility. So if I just do 10 of these a day, how many bad turns have I taken? How much damage have I done? So I'm not going to do a ton of numbers. I am going to do a ton of handstand step downs to landing position. I am going to do a lot, maybe like off of a block to a lower surface, a lot of like modified stuff, but I'm not going to get on the beam and just be like, you're going to make 5 in a row and that's that. An assignment for me would be 3 in a row or 5, max 10 tries would be like, that's a very normal assignment for me. So if it's an off day, we're not going until you do it. Like it's an off day, that happens, that's okay. And we're going to come back at it tomorrow. And I'm going to look at why weren't we making these? What can we address to change it? And go from there. So that's something that I've grown into. You know, it used to be everybody has to make 6 routines today and I don't care. And, you know, I will win because I'm the boss. And that's just not realistic every day.
Yeah.
And some coaches are going to disagree with me that that's not a thing. And that's okay. We can disagree and that's fine. Yeah. But in my program, that's the way it works. So, what else with little kids and just getting them to believe in themselves, right? Like for me, gymnastics is so much attitude and belief and confidence and knowing like when I step up, I'm trained and I know how to do this and I can do this right now. Yep. And I think that goes a long way in getting them to have more success and feeling good about what they're doing and having longevity and enjoyment.
You said earlier was just having a plan, like you just said, laying out what was going to happen if we take path A or path B or path C, and having a plan about like, this is what I've learned from Nick so well is like, there are a billion ways to train gingers and full ins and flick lays and stuff from a young age safely with drills and with development and with shaping and with like quality numbers, but the right amount and soft surfaces. Like there's a billion ways to use the equipment we have to make them successful. So like, do you need to do a full on hard at 12 years old? Like, do you really need to compete that? Or can you wait till 14? Like, are you going to lose your spot? And you're going to lose your shot with a college just because you didn't do your full at 12? No, of course you're not going to.
Absolutely not.
It takes the coach's poise. It takes the parent's stomach to not look in the shininess of Instagram and TikTok and like, you know, just put your blinders on a little bit. But if you have a plan, you follow that plan. There's nothing better than that like 14-year-old, like, where the hell did this girl come from? Like, what's she been eating? Where's she been hiding? Because she's amazing. You know what I mean? Like, I love that story of someone who just really puts the brakes on a little bit and then they come out smoking hot at like 14, 15 and just take over the world. It's my favorite thing in the entire world. Yes.
Yeah. It can be done.
Exactly. It can not only can it be done, it's better.
Yeah.
Right? Like, let's get this out of our mind that it's not a good path to go on this later development, this like loving coach mentality, this relationship. Like, it's better in the long run for their performance and their health to do this. You do not need to be this hardcore dictatorship when it all costs kind of stuff. I think it actually undermines kids' performance.
We went to a meet and we told our kids the beam, it was a test beam and it was 5 inches wide. I don't know why these kids believed us, but these kids believed us and they all stayed on. They're like, yeah, it was 5 inches, but it was just their perception that like it was a fat beam. Total true story, guys. So getting them to believe that beam is easy and beam is fun and that is the big thing, because if you do beam timid, you're going to be doing floor. So you gotta, I like footwork, vision, key skills, handstands, being able to like lever in and out. But I like it on a bent leg because you're never going to land on a locked knee. You're never going to go into your aerials on a locked knee. Proper landing mechanics off the beam, and a lot of one-legged stabilization thing, right? If you're bending your knee and your knee's tracking like this, add a switch leg to that, you're coming off and or getting hurt. You land your flick lay, you're coming off and or getting hurt. I always have one spotted station. So that's like the key station that we're trying to hone in on. Circuits. I like circuits. Parents like to see their kids moving. They're paying gymnastics for fitness, right? So as little line sitting as possible. Usually we'll sit down, show the spotted station. And then the other ones are kind of like floof stations, right? Like if mess it up, it's not going to be the end of the world for me, especially at those lower levels. We're going to jump and stick in a hoop, whatever. We're going to hop over bean bags. And then this station is going to be the one where I'm going to be like, nope, your foot's turning, nope, whatever. Yeah. So that's how I would do it. Always a hands-on station with the little ones. They don't feel their body. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know what you're saying half the time. So just always reinforcing what you want. Yeah. Well, hopefully you've developed really strong basics and like they've learned to love beam, right? They see what they're doing, but I'm big on stacking the beam. So Kale's completely anti this. He hates stack beam, but I love stack beam because when you're standing on the high beam, that is a totally different perspective with your vision than standing on the low beam, right? So giving them that confidence that I'm going to be okay. There's 700 mats here and it's a low beam, but it looks different. I love that. And then you take them out away and you take them out away and you take them out away. So I'm really big on stacked beams. This year I let the stack stay a little too long, but that's, good things. So that would be my thing. And I also always reinforce with them, like, guys, these are like level 4 and 5 skills on the beam, right? A back handspring step out was in the level 5 compulsory. They're putting a side aerial back into one of them. You are so far beyond these skills. This is just, you do it on the line, you do it on the line all day long. Like, let's get on the beam. For me, beam is an attitude. Like, they need to believe that, like, I got this. I'm the boss of the beam, right? Beam is an attitude. So I start with that. And then lots of uphill stuff, up onto panel mats, up onto, we have like little or skinny panel mats. Cecile showed me up onto low beam, which I was like, why didn't I think of that? That was genius. So she starts on the floor and they back handspring. So the hands have to be right, but whatever. So that was really cool. And again, so you're going to do, let's say we're working flick, right? You're going to do your flick. You had a wobble or your foot was turned in. Then you're going to do a handstand step down to the correct landing shape that I want to reinforce that. You can do it with a little, a little speed, a little zhuzh, but I don't want another back handspring because we're already doing a lot of back handsprings. Yeah. So just kind of trying to monitor how many you're doing, and giving them the opportunity to make the correction in a slower, safer kind of way, taking the fear away. Okay, this is what she wants. This is what I'm going to work on, and then add the speed back. And you just reinforce this is normal. Everyone has fears. It happens to everyone. They already feel bad. They already don't feel good about it. So just reinforcing that everybody goes through something like this and breaking it all the way back down. If it's really, really bad, sometimes just step away from it for a minute. Okay, here's the alternative. This is something else we can do. Let's work for this. Just having that break from it and moving on lets them get back there. You can't bully them into getting over a fear. They're not being fearful on purpose. First, I would tell them to look at all your content because you got a lot of great stuff for like hips and all of that stuff. Leaping is a lot of strength and coordination too, right? You got to be able to get up off your leg. You've got to be able to jump off one leg, land on one leg, and be confident. And I think on beam leaping in general is fear. They're afraid to split the beam. They're afraid to jump high enough to have enough room to snap and land and all of that stuff. So just lots of single leg jumps and getting as high as you can and all of that nonsense. For flexibility, I do TheraBand work every single day. I do some form of TheraBand kicking every single day. I don't think you need to have 200-degree oversplits to be a great leaper. You need to have great active flexibility. You need to have quick legs. And sometimes the most flexible kids don't have those quick legs. So the TheraBands help with that too. I never do ankle weights. Science has shown us that that's not good. So I never do that. And I've banned them in the gym for leaping and running and all of that stuff. But yeah, every single day we do a TheraBand circuit. If you check our Instagram, I put one up most Fridays called Flexible Friday. We do, you call them reptile slides, right? Just hip
stomach,
mobility. You do, what do you call them? I call them like turtle lifts. They lay on their, where they like lay down and they put their back leg up and they do this. So they have to learn to engage their glute to get their leg up instead of their low back or their ribs. So we do a ton of that stuff. A lot of the shoulder circuits, I's, T's, Y's, W's, all of that stuff. The shoulder circuit you do, eccentric pull-ups. So you can have that nice line for your aerials and your all of that. But yeah, we do a little bit of that every day. They come to beam every day and do a quick 5-minute stretch before they do anything. And that's how we kind of make sure everybody gets it in all day long. I especially think you need to be quick. You need to be quick and dynamic and strong. And then you can kind of fake the rest. You'll hit 180. You need to be moderately flexible, more flexible than like the regular person in life.
Yes.
But you don't need to be rhythmic flexible. You don't need to, you just be flexible enough to be safe.
Yep.
Yeah, I would say strong is more important. And I would say strong is more important on beam. You need to be able to take a one-legged landing. You need to be able to get off one leg really fast. You need to be able to punch the beam and then land safely.
Yep.
The older I get, the more I think you need to be strong to be good on beam.
I would agree.